Shape layers are awesome, but if you've ever really had to work with them, you know it can be a real pain to continuously have to dig in the timeline for all of their controls. So here, for example, we have an ellipse. So if I wanted to move, so for example, adjust the ellipse options, I would have to dig down 2 twirlies to get to the size. And then, of course, if I wanted to adjust the stroke, I have to open another twirly. And then, I'm starting to run out of room. And then, of course, this only gets very complicated as I have more contents in my shape layer. So this is where TranShape is awesome. It's essentially an inspector, right? So you just select the shape layer and you hit the Get button. Now there's I don't know if you noticed, but as I rolled over the mouse, it actually loaded it automatically. That's a preference here. You can actually set to either use the Get button or just have it work when you roll over your mouse. Depending on how you like to work, you can set that accordingly. So I have it set to mouse to just automatically load the, update the values per se. Okay, so right now I just have an ellipse, but let's say, for example, I wanted to add a star in there as well. So now when I roll over, it automatically updated it, and now I can see that I have both the polystar, and as you can see when I select it, it loads the polystar controls into the inspector. And then you can also use these arrows right and left, so I can then just go back to the ellipse by clicking on the arrow. And you can, of course, have as many shapes as you want, so I'll also add a rectangle here. And again, just by rolling over, it automatically updates. If you don't have that pref, then you would hit the Get button, but simple enough. And you can see here that we have the rectangle, the polystar, and the ellipse. So I'll go ahead and load, so I just clicked on the blending modes. So so here's the rectangle, right? So you can, for example, adjust the roundness. And as you can see, all of the controls have both a slider as well as an edit text box. So for example, here, let's say I wanted to slide the position over of this rectangle by using the slider, or I could, by making this a little bit bigger, or by typing the value here, we could say the -100 and then just hit enter. And as you can see, that just moves it numerically. Every single one of these has a little star icon where you can actually enter the slider values that are, minimum and maximum that work for whatever scale that you're working with. So again, that sets the slider, but you can always enter the values numerically. And that's pretty much it, really. There's one other thing I can show you, which is you can actually change the UI layout to column, which is what we were using, where all the controls are displayed at once. Or you can go to the tab layout, which requires you to restart TranShape. So let's do that real quick. So now this is the tab view, which here it's a little bit less cluttered, so you can actually have it in a smaller footprint. So each one of the tabs shows different controls. And then lastly, there's a little control here that allows you to initialize all of the slider values. So if you had really customized all the slider values and just wanted to get it back to where the default state, you would just hit on this button and it would just reset them all to their default values. So in a nutshell, that's TranShape, a shape layer inspector for After Effects that should really improve your workflow with shape layers and get you creating faster. Hope you guys enjoy it.